What if I told you that you could spend more money in retirement time and be even more confident about your money lasting longer? And doing so would actually boost the quality of your life. Here's the problem. Many retirees, the number one fear that they have is outliving their income. And that oftentimes will lead them into a situation that it makes spending money pretty scary. They get kind of afraid of doing that. And the results are people are often, underspending what their retirement could have been, missing out on their golden years in retirement. I'll give you a perfect example. We had some people that came in the office. We'll call them Bill and Sarah. They came in for a review, and I asked them a little bit about their travel plans and kind of what they had going on this summer. I know my family, we like to take a family vacation. At the end of this month, we're going to be joining a bunch of our good friends and going to Puerto Rico. That's our once a year trip that we're taking. I remember talking with Bill and Sarah in the past, and last year they had shared with me that they were going to Aruba, another fantastic place to go. But what Sarah had mentioned to me when I asked her that question in the recent review, she had told me that they don't have anything planned going on for this summer. She had mentioned the fact that she didn't really feel comfortable this year. The market's not growing as much as it did last year. She doesn't feel like she's comfortable enough to spend money to go on a vacation. And, when we looked at her investments and I pulled up her investment portfolio and I looked at, the amount of money they spent last year and versus how much they've had in growth, she ended up in a situation where they're $47,000 having more money than what they spent over the last year. So she's $47,000 ahead. And what I explained to her is I said, it's okay to spend your profits, just try not to spend your principal. She had said that she's actually going to print that out and put it on her refrigerator. And I hopefully, Bill and Sarah, you plan that next vacation because you are ahead of the game. And it's okay, again, in that scenario, to spend some of your profits. Don't try to spend principal. The research revelation that was completed by the American College of Financial Services, what they had found out, and the key statistic here, and what retirees are spending more money than other retirees is the group of retirees that had more guaranteed income actually spent more money. So you want to have more predictable guaranteed income in retirement time, and that's going to allow you to kind of worry a little bit less. I think the psychology is different. When you look at the difference between income versus savings, that can be a different mentality, right? So if you buy an investment vehicle and it's providing you X dollars every month through dividends and interest or a payment of income, you're getting that income and you're used to getting those income sources when you were working. And that's different than maybe going in and selling off some of your investments to come up with those dollars, because then you're picking away at your savings investments. So that's why the fear of watching your account balance go down, can create a lot of that anxiety. So if you worry about, hey, what's going to happen in the market over the next month, or if you find yourself looking at your investment account on a regular basis, you probably have a savings versus an income mentality. And what we want to do is we want to get you to shift over to more of an income mentality, especially if you're close to or in retirement time. And how you can do that is, again, to make sure that you have more predictable income in the portfolio versus just growth assets. In their survey that they did here, again at the American College of Financial Services, they had found that guaranteed income sources were one of the best examples of how they did that. And when you think about guarantees, you could have a CD, right? A CD is backed by FDIC insurance. If you bought a CD, it pays you a fixed rate of return. You know exactly how much income is going to come off of that investment vehicle. We have been dealing a lot in multi-year guaranteed annuities. Some of the fixed rates that you see in multi-year guaranteed annuities today are the best that we've seen in 20 years. So some people are taking a chunk of that money and they're setting it aside in an account that provides a guaranteed income for a set period of time. They then can take that income and never touch their principal, knowing the predictability. You should look at your investment portfolio of your stocks and bonds and look at the amount of income that you get from dividends and interest. although dividends and interest are not necessarily guaranteed, especially when it comes to the stock and bond market, they tend to be much more predictable, though, than simply relying and hoping that the growth of the investments keeps up with what your withdrawal rate is. There are other type of annuities that are out there that can provide income for you as well. And when you think about annuities, you'd want to think about the fact that not all annuities work the same. In essence, what you have is you could have an immediate annuity, you could have a multi-year fixed annuity, you could have an indexed annuity, and you can have a variable annuity. And each of those work a little bit different. But ultimately, what you would do is you would look to convert some of your risky money into something that provide more of a guaranteed monthly paycheck. So again, it is changing the mentality from spending down your assets to now receiving income. I'll give you an example here of an immediate annuity. We had a phone call with a gentleman just the other day. He called up to the office and he had $100,000 that he wanted to invest. He is 78 and his wife is 65. His end goal that he wanted to get to is that he wanted to get the highest possible income that he could for the rest of his lifetime. And then because he's older and just to protect his wife, if something happened, his desire was to leave a little bit of money and make sure his wife had some income as well. So in this example, he's talking about what is called an immediate annuity. And what we can do is we can go out and we can shop the insurance companies of America and we can get some of the top rated companies to compete for his business. He could take out an immediate annuity at the time of doing this here in 2025. The highest rate that he could get was insurance company would guarantee him roughly $973 a month for the rest of his lifetime. So again, now he's going to get a paycheck sent to his bank account each and every month if he selected that option for $973. Then he could feel comfortable about spending that money, right? Because that's money that's going to be coming in for the rest of his lifetime. If he wanted to protect his wife, he could select for his life, and he can also do what is called a period certain, meaning that a set number of years of payments would come out. In his example, if he did a period certain of 10 years, the payment would be $853 a month. So in John's situation, what he would do is he would get that $853 a month for as long as he lived. And then if something happened, let's say in the third year when he passed away, his wife would get the $853 or whoever he named as a beneficiary for the remaining 7 years. So, in protecting maybe the higher spending years, your go-go years, that could be a good option. We have a lot of people that say, you know what, the income needs are probably going to be pretty similar, even if one of the two of us passes away. And with an immediate annuity, you can also select a joint payout, meaning that they would pay him and his wife for as long as they both lived for the rest of their lifetime. And when we ran that illustration, it was $563 a month that they could get for the rest of their lifetime. The next thing that you could have is you could have a deferred income annuity. And with a deferred income annuity, what you can do is you can add kind of an income rider. Where this can be advantageous is for those folks that maybe want to get income in the future. We'll use them for retirees when we're looking at building a pay raise account, meaning that in 5 or 10 years from now, if things get more expensive, which they probably will, that would be the vehicle that would be designed to turn income on. And using an annuity and shopping it out with the insurance companies of America, you can really know exactly what the minimum income payment would be in 5 or 10 years. These can be also good vehicles for folks that are a little bit younger if they wanted to start shifting some money and building up an income source, and they had 5 or 10 years till they retired and wanted to take a chunk of that money and be able to utilize it as an income source. That deferred income annuity would be an option. Then the last category that you have is you have variable and you have indexed annuities. A variable annuity, just like the word sounds, it varies within the stock and bond market. So based upon the sub accounts that you pick, they can go up and down in the stock market. And usually I hear people talk about annuities, and they've heard annuities are bad and high in fees. Oftentimes they're talking about variable annuities. So a variable annuity, again, is one of those specialty products that you'd want to use. An example of that is I have a client that wants to have the full ability to have a lot of growth in his account, but he wants to know that, heaven forbid, if he passes away early, his wife is protected for income. So they could use a variable annuity that didn't offer restrictions from the investments. It's growth oriented. Even if the market crashes, he selected an income option that both him and his wife are protected forever for their income. If you didn't want the higher cost variable annuities and you wanted to have more principal protection, there are what are called indexed annuities with income riders. So an index annuity is traditionally going to allow you to participate in part of the growth of the market while protecting you if and when the market goes down. And adding that income rider can be a way where you could turn income on immediately. Again, you could look at income in the future as well. So we will oftentimes use what I would refer to as a bucketing type strategy. A great video, if you go on Google and you type in the independent income system, there's a video that I talks about this type of bucket approach, because what I would think is that not all money needs to go into an annuity. Not all money needs to go into guaranteed products like CDs or fixed rate investments that are out there. You kind of want to have your bucket of money. I still think for most retirees, having money in, say, equities, stocks for your long-term growth is really good. When you're looking at how much money you want to shift to be comfortable and confident to spend, what you can do is make sure that you have enough money in those safe or guaranteed products to cover your basic expenses first. Your discretionary spending, your fun stuff, that can be your stock market. Again, in the earlier segment, I was talking about the clients who had come in for the review and met with Bill and Sarah. Now, their discretionary account, again, their equity part of their portfolio, they were $47,000 ahead of where they were in the previous year, even after spending. And by looking at it that way, they allowed to be able to use the discretionary spending to go ahead and plan another trip. Thus, again, taking money from their profits, not spending their principal. And then there's a year where the market doesn't do really good, and their discretionary spending, maybe that's not the year to have the roof replaced or do that excess spending as well. But giving them the psychology of how to look at that through, again, the independent income system. So these are common mistakes that you would want to avoid: ignoring the cost of living increase. If you're looking at different financial products that provide predictable income, not shopping around, putting too much or all of your money into an annuity, choosing the wrong payout option, such as a single life versus a joint life. These are all concerns that I have. So if you'd like to spend more confidently in retirement time and have more peace of mind, I'd love to walk you through the process to show you ultimately how you can get into a situation where you can spend more, not less, in retirement time.